Hey everybody, this is Jay Moore. I'm the founder of the group The Ordinary Christian, and I'm here to bring you a little training video, uh, devotional. Actually, it's kind of both. It's intended to encourage you, but it's also intended to equip you. Uh, and this is about how to respond to skeptics who do not believe in or find it difficult to believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. Now, I got to tell you, the gospel, the sharing of the gospel, and missional living, having a belief, a faith in the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ is essential. It is at the very core and heart of what the gospel is all about. Matter of fact, the Bible tells us in Romans chapter 10, verse 9 and 10, that if we would confess with our mouth and believe in our heart that God has raised Jesus from the dead, we will be saved. Notice there's two parts. There is the heartfelt confession of your mouth that Jesus is Lord, but also there is that a belief in the death, burial, and resurrection, the faith in the bodily resurrection of Jesus Christ. You see, a person cannot be saved and have their sins forgiven if they do not believe and have faith in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It's essential. So, how do you answer a skeptic? A person who says that he finds it difficult, finds it hard to believe that Jesus was dead for 3 days, in the grave for 3 days, but on the third day came back to life again. How do you respond to that? Because quite often, what they're going to say to you is, well, you just have this blind faith. You'll believe anything that you're told. Here's my response, and I want to share it with you to give you a way to respond to people who might question you on this matter, but also maybe you don't know the answer. Maybe you think it is just based on blind faith. Well, it's not. Here's my response. My faith is not blind faith. My faith in the bodily resurrection of Christ is faith based upon evidence beyond reasonable doubt, in my estimation. Let me say it again. I don't have blind faith in the resurrection of Christ. I have faith based upon evidence that's beyond reasonable doubt, in my estimation. You see, the resurrection of Christ is not just some belief that's been made up. It is based upon historical testimonial evidence. Based upon historical testimonial evidence, there are people who have been recorded in history to have been eyewitnesses to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now, I want to point out three different groups that show different intensities of why it makes it so compelling for me to believe in the resurrection of Christ. One is based upon the volume, evidence based upon volume of eyewitnesses. The Apostle Paul, speaking to the church of Corinth, said that there were over 500 eyewitnesses to the resurrection of Christ. And as he was penning those words, and he says, and many of them are still alive to this very day. This is amazing. 500 eyewitnesses. If you were to bring in a court of law, 500 people who said, I saw that act, I saw that take place, I saw that, I saw that, I saw that, I was an eyewitness, I was an eyewitness. Just the sheer volume of eyewitnesses establishes the reliability and the fact that the event took place. And in this case, the resurrection of Christ. 500 eyewitnesses. That's an astounding thing. And Paul was saying, hey, don't believe me. There were 500 eyewitnesses. Many of them are still alive today. Go ask them for yourself. So we have that recorded for us. Then there is also the eyewitnesses who were his apostles themselves. They said that those who knew Jesus best, they said themselves, they saw the resurrected Christ. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, and it's probably what the skeptic's going to say, and that is, well, of course they would say that. They were his disciples. They would say anything to give credibility. But listen to this. Every single one of them, except for the apostle John, died a martyr's death, meaning they were killed for their faith, specifically for their testimony of the resurrection of Christ from the dead. Not one of them ever recanted. Not one of them ever took back their words that Jesus was raised from the dead. Not one of them. If it was a lie, if it was a fabrication that they had come up with after his death on the cross and after his burial, and said, well, let's just tell them, everybody, that he was raised from the dead, just like he said he would. We'll make it up. That's 11 apostles making up something to die for. And what did they get out of it? Did they get money? None of the apostles lived a wealthy life. Did they get fame or fortune? Not a single one of them. There was nothing for them to gain in a worldly sense for them having this lie and keeping it. The only thing that they got was that they died for it, and they died from their lips saying, but we saw Jesus raised from the dead. We're not lying. We're telling you the truth. He was raised from the grave. That's an amazing thing. To have 11 people go to their death, not one of them recanting their testimony, saying that Jesus was raised from the dead. So you got the sheer volume, and then you got the depths of conviction that goes with it. That's the other part of it. And here's the third one. The Apostle Paul's talking, and he said that Christ revealed himself to him. In other words, the resurrected Christ revealed himself to the Apostle Paul on the road to Damascus through the bright and shining light as Jesus spoke to him. That Christ revealed himself and showed himself to be alive. Now, why is this important? Because the Apostle Paul, before he was known as the Apostle Paul, was known as Saul, the Christian hater killer. He was zealous for the Jewish faith based upon the sect of the Pharisees. He did not like Jesus. He did not like Christians. He wanted to see them removed. He was excited and glad to see Stephen being stoned to death. He asked for permission from the high priest and the council to be able to go from door to door and seek out Christians, haul them off to jail so that they too could be executed. And it was on his trip to Damascus, so he could find more Christians in Damascus to imprison them and have them executed when Jesus revealed himself. And that became the life-altering, life-changing event that changed him from being a Christian killer to being probably the greatest missionary who creates more disciples for Christ, who created more Christians than any other person alive. What changed him? What changed him from being the hater of Christians to the creator of Christians? The one who wanted to stomp out the message of Jesus Christ crucified and resurrected, to the one who's going around propagating the message of Jesus Christ crucified and raised from the dead. What changed him? Paul said, his own words were, Jesus revealed himself to him. You see, this shows the depth and the power of it. That's why your faith in the Lord Jesus Christ and his death, burial, and resurrection is not blind faith. We have the testimony. We have the testimony, historical testimony of the men and the women who personally have seen him, the volume of people who've seen him. The disciples and the depth of their conviction to die for it. And then the life-changing power of the resurrection to change a Christian hater to a Christian creator. From one who wants to stomp out the gospel message to the one who's out proclaiming it harder than anybody else. That's what you share with the skeptic. But in addition to sharing it with the skeptic, that's what you hold on to. Your faith in Jesus. Not blind faith. Faith based on evidence beyond reasonable doubt. It's not reasonable to doubt the testimony that we're getting from these eyewitnesses. My name is Jay Moore. I am the founder of the group The Ordinary Christian, and I'm glad that you've taken time to listen to this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you haven't already done so and not already signed up for my devotionals that I send out 2 or 3 times a week, I want to encourage you to go ahead and sign up for it. There's a place right below here. You can hit the link, sign up in the box underneath, and you'll start receiving 2 or 3 times a week some powerful content on living a missional life that helps you shine the light of Christ brightly in your part of this dark world. Take care. God bless you. We'll see you next time on The Ordinary Christian.